What's going on, gang? It's your girl, Sheree Robin, and we're talking everything's books, business, and building a life you love, as per usual. And today's conversation is really all around this idea, this big mistake that a lot of new writers make when it comes to writing a book for the first time, and that's rushing, right? It's like rushing through the entire process and rushing, trying to move to the end, and you seem to skip a few steps, in this journey. And so the conversation that I want to have with you today is really about taking your time. But not just taking your time overall, but in three really specific places along this writing journey, because the better you are able to manage your time in these three particular areas, the more success and the more traction and progress that you're able to make. So let's dive into it. Let's get into these three particular places where it's essential to not rush when it comes to writing your book. So, place number one, where you need to be intentional about being slow and deliberate here, is in development. Right? It's in the developmental stage. So when you are first going to write your book and you're trying to get clarity around your ideas, the concepts, the things that you want to get across to your audience, it is so much more beneficial to be like locked in, to be assured of that these are the conversations and the topics that you want to focus on. You don't want to be guessing. You don't want to just throw anything down on the page and hope that it makes sense. And I know that sometimes it can be a challenge to figure out exactly what you're trying to say, but that is why I'm saying don't rush this process. Take the necessary time to work through exactly what your story is, exactly what your message is, exactly who you're trying to get this out to. So that developmental time is vital, right? It's absolutely vital. When you skip that part, right, and this is usually what happens. We meet writers who will like jump right into the writing part, and we're like, okay, wait, but you got to figure out your audience, your perspective, the language, like all of these other pieces. So when you dive right into writing and you skip the developmental stage, there's so much confusion in the writing, right? Because a lot of times you're still confused. You're trying to figure out, which way do I go? Do I talk about this? Do I talk about that? Oh, squirrel. And you're easily distracted and derailed from going the right direction that you're supposed to be going. So if you're going to write a book, take your time and develop the concept, develop the idea with intentionality, with specificity. Know exactly what you're going to be talking about. It doesn't have to be two, three, four things. It could be one specific topic, but develop it fully, right? What perspective are you bringing to this? What negatives, what objections are you adding to this conversation? Like really map that out before you just start rushing to write a book. Okay? That's number 1, development. Number 2, where I want you to slow down and take your time, is in the actual execution of your chapters. Right? So in the flow, in the writing, like the part where you're telling the people what you did and what to do, here's where I want you to slow that writing down. Please slow it down. You would be surprised at the amount of manuscripts that my team and I get where people are talking about the things that they did and they rush right through it.
Hey, so while you're here, I want to make sure that I extend the opportunity for you to register for my free 3 critical mistakes that are stopping coaches, experts, and business owners, badasses just like you, from writing those life changing and business building books. If you have found value in the video below, then make sure that you register for the upcoming masterclass by clicking the link in the description so you get this value, this information, these nuggets, and change lives with your words. I see you there.
Right? It's like, oh, I learned how to love myself. I learned how to heal, right? I figured out how to forgive. And it's like, well, how? Right? Learning is a process. Forgiving is a process. There are steps that people need to take in order to learn how to love themselves. So it's important that you slow down and walk us through those steps, right? Deliberately and intentionally take us through the process. Don't rush your reader through and skip the important pieces or forget the valuable nuggets that you did, or you completely forgot about the part where you fasted for 6 months. Like, don't rush through that important part. Take your time. Be very clear. And again, intentional. My favorite word, y'all, is specificity, right? So be super intentional, super specific about what you're doing in your chapters. That makes all the difference in the world. So don't rush that. Right. Once you get clear about what you're doing, then you can power through the chapters. But you have to be intentional about what's going in those chapters. And you have to take your time and fully tell the story. right? Tell us what you did. Tell us the wins. Tell us the losses. Give your reader that inside perspective, because that's what they want, and that's how you build authenticity and connection with your readers and your audience, because they see that you're sharing, you're transparent in your experiences, and they can relate to that. Okay, so don't rush that part. Take your time and walk through the actual execution of the chapter writing with the intention of telling a full story, right? Of not skipping spaces. Tell the whole story. Now, will you have to go in and edit and maybe cut and clean some things up? Absolutely. But it's better to do that brain dump the first time, get out what it is that you're trying to say, and then go in and clean it up afterwards. So take your time in your chapter writing. Okay. Step number 3. The other big place where so many writers are like, trying to power through this process is the publishing process. Like, why are you trying to power through the publishing part? There are about 12 to 15 things that need to happen when it comes to publishing a book. And if you are rushing through the publishing part, then you're going to produce a product that looks like you rushed through the publishing part. So publishing in and of itself is going to take anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks, because you have to get your manuscript edited, right? You have to now review those edits and make those revisions. You have to go through the process of getting your cover designed. You have to have that chef's kiss beautiful. You have to love your cover. That could take 2 or 3 drafts. You have to make sure that the interior file aligns with the size of your spine and your actual dimensions of your cover. You have to get your proof ordered. You have to make sure that Amazon or whatever platform you're using accepts your uploads. Like, all of that is a process. If you are going into this in January, talking about, I want my book to be ready by February 1st, you are going to cause yourself so much unnecessary stress and headache, because you're trying to rush and hurry up. And what happens when you rush is you cut corners, right? You skip the integrity part. You skip the part where you are like, I am getting the highest quality, highest value, right? So I can produce something that represents me well in the marketplace. You're not even thinking that if you're rushing and trying to hurry up and do this. You're like, just let me hurry up and get this book out. So now you publish something that's subpar, doesn't represent you well, and is a waste of your time and energy. Don't do that. Let's not do that. Okay. So, what we want to do is take our time, take our deliberate and our intentional time, and write a best selling book, write a life changing book, but make sure it's developed clearly. Make sure that your writing is sharp and intentional throughout. Then make sure that you have a beautifully published manuscript by going through every step of the publishing process with patience and with integrity. Don't rush. Take your time and produce a piece of work that you can be proud of. Okay, so if this was helpful for you, if you like this information and these nuggets, make sure that you hit like and subscribe, tune in for some more value, and make sure that you click the link in my description and register for my upcoming masterclass. These 3 critical mistakes are the monumental pieces that are delaying so many incredible experts and coaches from really getting their story out to the world. So I want to help you derail all of that stuff, get you on the right track, moving forward with momentum, getting to the finish line, and publishing badass books this year. So I hope that's you. Make sure that you stay tuned for more goodies, more value. And if you're interested in the masterclass, the link is below, and I'll see you guys on the shelf.